been
Awesome to have the voted. Cool. So, Year has been building a lot of different things kind of throughout the years, and one of the core ideas has been for us to bring kind of technology forward to as many people as possible. And we started with blockchain. This is kind of root of trust. This is where you have your identity, you have payments, you have markets, you have settlement, you have coordination. We then expanded to chain abstraction, which is really about kind of going beyond just one blockchain, but really allowing to interconnect all the different chains in Web3. And finally, kind of brought back where Near started, which was AI, with user-owned AI. And to me, this is fundamental because if AI is not user-owned, actually, there is no blockchain, right? If AI is controlled by one or two companies, those companies will process all the payments and will execute all the actions on the internet, and you effectively don't have space for blockchains anymore. There's no more space for decentralization, no more space for owning your assets, data, everything will belong to those companies. And so, to me, the AI is effectively the interface. This is how we're going to get this technology to billions of people, because they don't need to understand the underlying kind of complexity of blockchains, the kind of how accounts work, how payments work. They should be able to just directly talk about what they want, right? Similar how you go to Google and you type in what you want, and you actually kind of execute that action through using Google. And so, effectively, what we're building is blockchain for AI to bring this future forward, this user on the internet. This is really kind of been stabilized as our focus as we kind of really finish building this step. Now, what this means is there's a massive paradigm shift that's in front of us. Kind of existing world right now, you're effectively interacting with internet, with websites, with products, with services by using, browser or some specific application, kind of an aggregator application. You use some search feature. It actually sells your effectively query to the highest bidder for advertisement, and then you go to the website, you sign up, you do a bunch of things, use payment processor, charges you, or charge the merchant, which actually charges you, 2.7%, right? So it's a current state of the world. There's effectively your every interaction is sold off to the highest bidder across the globe. Now, the future, I imagine, is really where AI is going to be your interface with the internet. It's going to be your AI that is on your side, that you can trust, that is optimized for your success. It's able to navigate the internet, it's able to navigate blockchain, it's able to effectively execute actions, pay for things, and it can plan and have different sub-agents running for you and actually doing different things, right? And so there still needs to be an interface between all of the services, AI agents, and your assistant. And this interface is what we're building with Near. And so this vision is not far, right? It's Near, and it has three components. We need an AI assistant, which is going to be your interface, how you interact with Web3 and Web2. You need a way to effectively express what you want to get done and find the counterparty or set of counterparties who actually will do it. This is what intents are for. And finally, we need a cutting-edge research, because if, again, all the models are built by centralized companies and they can inject whatever they want into this, and they effectively can just not open it up and use it themselves, and that is way better product because it's way smarter. There's just no way to compete with that in the open ecosystem. So on assistant side, I don't know if this is going to load. I guess it doesn't. Anyway, there was a demo video here of actually using Assistant. It is able to transact on with you on chain. You can launch a meme coin. This was a demo. Just by saying I want to launch a meme coin like this, maybe ask you a couple questions and then launches it, deploys website, builds UIs, etc. As well as you can swap tokens. You can participate in e-commerce. And so the idea is this is kind of an alpha version, chat.near.ai. You can try it out, of this assistant that will be able to do more and more actions on your behalf. Again, very different from the current ChatGPTs and Claudes, which are not able to actually do anything because they don't have money, they don't have ability to actually do business and transact with other partners. The other part is intents. So we introduced intents a few days ago, which is a new type of transaction. Now, instead of sending this transaction to the blockchain right away, you first express what you want to do, right? I want to buy a bike. I want to swap some tokens. I want to, build a building. And you want to find one or multiple counterparties who actually help you to fulfill this intent. And there's a lot of things that needs to kind of come together, right? For some types of transactions, for example, I want to receive fiat on my bank account, you need attestation like KYC. For some things, I'm trying to build a building, I want actually a contractual agreement with a dispute resolution where we can go to court if the building, is not up to standard. So there's attestations and dispute resolutions that are added to the standard. Now, the cool thing is, obviously, I as a user can type something in, but also AI agents now can use the same interface to interact with each other, right? AI agents say, hey, I know how to build buildings. I can create the architecture plan, but I need somebody to go and source a bunch of, for example, parts that needed to actually construct it, or I need a subcontractor who actually will dig a hole for the basement, right? So they will use exactly the same interface of actually transacting on the same plane. And this abstracts blockchains, this abstracts tokens, agents, contracts, services, effectively the universal abstraction level that is bringing everything back to the level where we express what we want. Now, we launched a kind of an alpha version of this as well. It's app.near-intents.org, where you can now swap Bitcoin for Near, for Arbitrum, for Pepe. So effectively, it's a fully abstracted trading platform that uses intents underneath. And we're going to be expanding what it can do with fiat, with buying goods and services, and with natural language interface where you can, again, your AI assistant can effectively specialize, book me an appointment between, Wednesday and Friday, between this and that, right? So this is effectively the new interface. Now, the topic of the talk itself, right, is cutting-edge research. And this is important because, as I said, right now, the centralized companies, right, this is Google, OpenAI, Meta, they have kind of in one place. They have data, they have researchers, they have compute resources, they have all those experiments. They're sharing it with each other, and they're able to really quickly iterate. They don't need to wait for somebody to publish paper. They don't need to wait for to understand, that somebody wrote in a different framework. They don't need to wait how to get how do I get, 10,000 GPUs? All of that is in one concentrated place. Now, what we want to do is to make Near kind of as blockchain for AI, a place with all the infrastructure to do AI research in one place as well. And so for that, we need to bring all of these resources, which are actually available now in Web3, right? There's, Exhibits, which is providing GPUs. There is, lots of projects that do in different data, kind of acquisition, aggregation, filtering, indexing. There is open source researchers, from Stanford, from Berkeley, from Cambridge, from MIT, that are sitting on the sidelines not having access to these resources. And so bringing it all together is kind of how we actually get this research moving and ideally outpacing centralized. So to build kind of a frontier model, right, to build something that is better than ChatGPT, that better than Claude, it requires hundreds of millions of dollars, right? It's an extremely expensive compute resource. And the problem is if you open source it, right, if you just train a model and put it up for open source, it's really challenging to monetize, right? Now everybody can grab it, run it, whatever they do, you don't know. And with every kind of week and month, the incumbents are getting more and more difficult to disrupt, right? They're getting more and more resources, they're getting more and more compute built, they're buying nuclear, power plants to power their data centers. At the same time, we want kind of user-owned AI to be private, right? Right now, again, when we're interacting with ChatGPT, all of this data is going to OpenAI. And there is a new technology that, kind of becoming really working only like this year. And this is effectively a trusted execution environment that's hard-coded in the Intel processors and GPUs itself. So H100s kind of has this integration, and Intel processors of the last generation and AMD are now able to effectively run things inside a secure enclave on your device in such a way that whoever runs this machine, whoever owns this computer, actually is not able to see what's happening inside. And at the same time, it can guarantee that this specific code was run on this specific data. And so to enable privacy, this is a massive unlock, because now we can have an inference code that runs on anybody's device that is able to do inference on these models, and you're able to guarantee that nobody have seen it, right? You encrypt effectively with a private key that's only available inside TE. Now, one step further, you can do this for training, right? We can do model training in such a way where the source code is available, the data is available, but the resulted model, right, the parameters of the model are not actually open, they are encrypted. Now, you still get all the same properties. Anybody can permissionlessly download the encrypted weights and load them into their own TE. Anybody can build on top of it and fine-tune it. Anybody can use it without any restrictions. But the benefit is you're able to monetize it, right? Now that the model is inside TE and it's only available to do inference inside it, right? You have this Bob, like an evil Bob that controls the machine, and you have a green environment inside it, which is safe to have your model. You can actually attach a payment with every prompt, with every interaction to the model in such a way that you pay a little bit for every inference, right? It's very similarly how right now we pay, if you're a developer, you're paying OpenAI Claude, or if you're using open source frameworks like Fireworks and Hyperbolic, right, you're attaching some payment. But this is happening now inside TE, and you have a proof of this payment. And now this payment can pay a little bit to Bob because he provided hardware, pay a little bit to the model developers, pay a little bit to the people who contribute capital to train the model, right? So you have a whole monetization system, and you can fine-tune on top of this model with private data and offer that as well to other people. So you can have actually a whole monetization framework on top of this for people to build. And you still have all the privacy, right, for Alice that nobody else have seen what actually inference was done, and it's never stored anywhere. And you have these guarantees that are effectively as hard as breaking into all of the Intel systems. So, which for most part is providing you the guarantees you want for this environment. Now, having a monetizable model is great, but you only can monetize it if it's the best model, right? Nobody wants to use, subpar model. Nobody will pay for this. Even if you have, you will pay for a little bit for privacy, but you will not use completely shitty model. So the reality is we need to build really good model, and we need to accelerate research around in open source to do that. And so the way we kind of been doing this in blockchain space is by creating a cooperative competition, right? You can imagine right now, how like with a Bitcoin, everybody's trying to build a more optimized chip to do mining, because whoever does this benefits economically from the staking rewards, right? From the mining rewards. And so we're building effectively a centralized place with decentralized tools to run these competitions, where you're able to participate and able to win and able to contribute to that bigger model and receive revenue from this. Now, the way in general, training of large language model works is you start with smaller models. So there's such a thing called scaling laws. You train smaller models, you evaluate how they perform, and you project how the bigger model will work as you scale it up. And so we're starting with training smaller models and many competitions where we have a lot of researchers coming in, training models, testing them on how they would perform, and then top competitors actually move on to build bigger models. And so you effectively have a kind of a progress from 0.5B model and further. And so what we want to build is 1.4 trillion parameter model. This is effectively 3.5 times bigger than what exists right now in open source with Llama 3 400-bit parameters. And it's designed to be kind of the best model that everybody can access, that is not permissioned, that is not neutered, that's not censoring. You can then fine-tune things on top of it. Now, while we're getting there, we're still actually producing really good models in between that are useful for different use cases, where you need faster inference, when you need more, smaller model that you want to run on specialized devices. So we need a single platform. We need, run and share experiments. We need a way to store massive data sets with decentralized storage. We need a way to effectively train these models with encrypted weights. And we need a lot of kind of other tooling, right? So that's the idea is we're introducing this as research hub, where we're not going to do all of this. Actually, we're going to do a minimum of this. And then we're inviting the ecosystem, the community, all of the different projects that are building different parts of this stack to actually integrate into Hub and provide their services in such a way that researchers can benefit from them and build next generation models. So try it out. It's app.near.ai. It's open source as well on GitHub under Near.ai GitHub repo, and you're able to submit effectively pull requests with your data sets, with your models, with your providers, with run competitions yourself and participate in competitions. So just to conclude, this transition that I'm talking about, right, is actually transitioning the whole internet, right? We're changing how people are experiencing computing. And AI your AI will be the interface. And AIs don't need to look at top blue links on Google. They are not swayed by ads. They're able to evaluate every single option and find the best option for you. And they know as much about you as you do. And so we're kind of changing how commerce is going to work to AI commerce, and we're changing how internet works to user-owned internet. Like, it's $1 trillion a year opportunity, at least, effectively disrupting all of those different businesses right now that effectively making money from every user interaction on internet. And I want to just highlight, we already have a really big community. I'm really excited about working with all of these projects. We're having a second AI accelerator cohort, and I'm sure we're going to have more. And so all of them are contributing effectively to build this hub and build these innovations. So I appreciate their work and appreciate listening to me. Thank you.